Phoenix Mayor Kate Gallego was recently chosen to lead the Democratic Mayors Association. This as Gallego is dealing with a number of issues on the home front, including the resignation of the Phoenix Police Oversight Director. Mayor Kate Gallego joined us earlier this afternoon. Mayor Gallego, good to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us. Always a pleasure. Yeah, we got a lot going on here. I want to get started with this letter to the Justice Department, though, regarding the Phoenix Oversight Director. It sounds as though the city has sent something to DOJ saying he resigned. Here's why. What's behind the letter? Why was it sent and what did it say?
We take oversight of public safety very seriously. We spent an enormous amount of time on it, and we just wanted to communicate that there were some unusual factors in this situation. The City of Phoenix Council, during my time as mayor, created this police oversight office, and we gave it very broad powers. The Arizona legislature then severely restricted what the office can do. Our departed employee did not like those restrictions. You and I have talked many times about my frustration with the legislature micromanaging city government. But what our attorneys at the city said is we have to follow the state law. We cannot ignore it. And so that was a real debate with the individual who departed from the city of Phoenix. He really chafed under those restrictions. I understand his frustration, but we are government agencies and we do have to follow the advice of our attorneys.
I think the letter said as well, he overstepped his bounds in some cases, correct?
We had two main disputes. One was that he wanted to follow the original parameters of the office and not the restrictions that the state legislature gave us. And then the second one was around hiring. When the council created the police oversight office, we made a rule that we did not want people who had worked or had families who'd worked in law enforcement. The idea was to have separation. That was something that was hotly debated. We received a lot of community input. When our departed director hired an individual, it was someone who had worked as a reserve police officer. And so we felt that did not follow the parameters of the city program and was inappropriate to make that offer. I wish we'd had a more positive discussion. If people don't like the ordinance, maybe you can sit down and have a real conversation. But it was very intentional part of the oversight to have that separation from law enforcement.
So bottom line, the letter to DOJ is that we're still working on this. We still have oversight. We're still trying to do what you think we should be doing, but we got rid of this person because of X, Y, and Z.
We wanted to provide context and information. We take transparency very seriously, and we wanted to tell our side of the story. And again, commit to the fact that we do want a very strong office in place within the parameters of state law.
Let's get to some other things happening around the city, something you're probably a little more encouraging to talk about here. Cave Creek, this reclamation, we've talked about this reclamation water project at Cave Creek. This thing ready to go? What's happening? What's the latest?
So this is a really exciting announcement this week. People are looking for government to get things done. We voted unanimously at the City Council to invest $300 million in the most advanced water treatment technology. We are taking a facility that shut down in 2009 and upgrading it so that it has better purification standards than even bottled water plants, so very high quality water. It will allow us to take water that's already in the system and repurify it. So it effectively is a new water supply that will help 25,000 homes when it's fully built out.
And when is it going to be fully built out again?
So the plant will start operations in 2026, and there is a lengthy testing process, so there's a few steps after that before you would see any water.
Okay, something else along those lines, though. I noticed we got, what, $14 million for trees out there? What kind of trees? Where are they going to be planted? Where's the focus here?
We have looked at the city of Phoenix and found that our wealthier areas have amazing tree cover, great shade. They're 10 degrees cooler than other parts of the city. We are trying to address that with nonprofit partners. We received the bulk of the funding from the federal government, so they did grants that were specifically focused on trees. And this week, the City Council voted to enter into partnerships to purchase the trees and then to maintain them. We know that's key.
Yeah.
If you are an educator, we want to work with your school districts to make sure that our students get to plant and enjoy these amazing trees. We also have grants for nonprofits. So this is a really exciting partnership. And if you're watching today and you know an area that needs more trees, please check out phoenix.gov.
What about maintenance here? What about water? Do you have the water for this?
So we are planting native, drought-tolerant shade trees. We're being very specific to pick trees that make sense in this ecosystem. We also are looking at trees that have what's called a long taproot. So they are grown in a specific way to make them more drought tolerant and so that they don't need as much water.
All right, let's see if they hang on to the wind out there. The wind today was pretty crazy.
Oh, it was.
There's also a microplastic factory is now going to take, what is this going to take plastic waste and make stuff out of it? What's going on here?
This is a first of its kind partnership anywhere in the world. We are taking a material recovery facility and putting it with a very advanced factory. It's a great partnership with Goodwill and ASU. So we're taking stuff you used to throw away, and now they can be made into furniture, skateboards, all sorts of useful products. We're going to work with local entrepreneurs through Hustle Phoenix so that they can make cool projects locally. It's a small factory, so we think it could be several of them throughout a community, and this is something I think will go from Phoenix worldwide.
Interesting, interesting. All right, we've had a letter to the Justice Department all the way to a microplastic factory. That makes you a lot of stuff going on here. And now you're what, the Democratic Mayors Association? You're the president. You got time to be the president of the Democratic Mayors Association?
It's a great chance to lift up the success stories that we have as mayors throughout the country. I think we're the branch of government that's getting things done. I mean, we have already talked about 3 things that just happened in the last 2 days. People are frustrated with government right now, but hopefully if we talk more about what we're doing at the local government and how we really are solving problems, they'll see that it is worth partnering with.
So what does the group do? What will you do as president?
So we represent mayors in cities above 30,000. We have 500 member mayors, and my job will be to share the success stories of what's happening in cities, as well as provide resources for people, whether it's good policy ideas and briefings or help talking about your achievements as folks run for re-election.
I was going to say the election aspect is a factor there because it's your job as president to help some of these folks get elected and re-elected, true?
Yes.
And how are you going to do that?
So part of it is just helping people share stories. For example, across the United States, we've seen a major decrease in crime. How do people tell that story? Because not all of our residents are feeling that. So what are the right policy tools and conversations to have?
You referred to this earlier, and we can wrap it up with this, the idea of the state constantly micromanaging, wanting to micromanage city affairs. Is that changing? Is the mood changing? Or is it in one direction or another? What are you seeing out there, and how is it impacting what you do?
We see a lot of bills at the legislature that get into the details of how we run our water system, which is run by very highly trained professionals, how we do local decisions like land use. The most difficult one for mayors has been the major cut the legislature did in our taxes last year. So in the case of Phoenix, it's $90 million, which is the equivalent of our very large library department. And so they pass on more cost to us at the same time we're seeing pretty significant cuts, and that's difficult.
That rental tax, I know that there's some concern among mayors, you and some other mayors, that the governor kind of promised to backfill or at least help out a little bit there. Has she done that? Doesn't sound like she's done that yet.
I think the governor values cities and wants to help us. And my sense is that the Republican leadership at the legislature doesn't want to defund the police, which is specifically what happens in Phoenix. This money had been allocated to public safety in a very significant amount. So we're trying to have the conversations. If you care about the crises we're facing, whether it be fentanyl or other public safety challenges, cities are on the front lines, and we need a partnership.
Last question on this, though. I mean, I know what Republicans would say. Republican leadership will sit there and they'll say, you don't have to cut security. You don't have to cut law enforcement. There are other ways to cut if you don't have that money from the rental tax. Do they have a point?
Public safety is 70% of our general fund. It's the overwhelming function that we do at the city of Phoenix. I believe great cities need to have libraries, parks, and other services, but just given the magnitude of the cut, public safety has to be impacted. And in this case, there were funds that were specifically passed by our voters at the ballot for public safety.
Are you optimistic something's going to happen there?
We are going to keep telling the story of what we're doing at the city level, and hopefully our residents will say, legislature, please hold our cities harmless, or at least think about delaying this. Cutting such a huge amount of money just in our next budget year doesn't give us much flexibility and time to get things done.
Phoenix Mayor Kate Gallego. Mayor Gallego, always a pleasure. Good
Good
to
to
have
see
here.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.